Hello everyone, this is a short video just describing your next assignment, which goes by the name of Critical Text Review on your syllabus. You'll note that this assignment is 15% of your final grade, so you'll want to be putting in some time, if you haven't already, to begin thinking how this might relate to your larger final product, which is due at the end of the semester. Essentially, if you read the description on the syllabus, it tells you more or less what this assignment will involve. However, for some of you that aren't familiar with this particular type of assignment, I thought I'd make this video and just explain it a little bit more. It won't be a long video. If you have questions, please email me. I'll try to answer them as best I can, but hopefully this video will hit some of those up front before you get going. This is part, if you go back to your syllabus, you'll see that it's broken down as one part of your entire semester research project. You have the critical text review, which is the first part, the detailed outline, and then the final draft, each of which is their own assignment. This is going to be 3 to 4 pages roughly. Something that's relatively short and gives you a good amount of space to talk about one particular critical secondary source from the sources that you've been gathering so far for your semester research project. I'll hit a couple of highlights and then talk a little bit about how you might want to make this look as a product in and of itself. It will function all by itself. The way that you're going to want to do your list, your reading list for your final project is up to you, but as it says there, you probably have about 8 to 10 secondary sources in total. These could be scholarly articles, chapters from books, the books themselves, anything that falls in this sort of critical arena that expands on a theory, that might expand on immigration, migration, refugee status in general. It might have to do more with literature itself and looking at things like class issues or language acquisition or feminist readings, anything in general that helps you sort of craft your particular perspective that you're going to be doing on your research project. Your critical texts, your otherwise known as your sources, if you want to call them that, are going to be pulled together of your own particular goal for the project. What this assignment, the critical text review, is asking you to do is to choose one of those. So if you only got one so far, that would be the one you choose. But if you're already looking at some other sources, this is going to ask you to pick one of those and give me an extended annotation on it. If you've ever done an annotated bibliography in the past, you know that this is basically maybe 1 to 2 paragraphs writing up what this particular source or critical text is about. For this, what I want is basically an extended annotation of one source, one critical text. Let me know that you understand it. What is the central argument? What is the criticism or the theoretical framework that the author is using? Is it directed at something specific that you're going to then take to your own project? Is it about, just fill in the blank. Is it about movement as a theme in immigration, migration literature? Does it look at movement from a particular theoretical perspective? Place and placelessness sort of transposed theoretically or in some other scholarly perspective. Does the article or book chapter, whatever, does it take a particular approach? Does it borrow from other theorists in the past, etc.? Understanding the argument is job one in your critical text review. So there might be a fair amount of summary or paraphrasing just to understand the text itself that shows me you can get yourself into this particular perspective. The second thing, and these things don't necessarily need to follow in order, but I'm just listing them here as things that you're going to want to do. The second thing that it's going to want to do is hold some illusion as to how you might begin to apply this to your chosen subject area. And right now your object of analysis might be one of our books, one of our authors, one of our themes, etc. How is this critical text that you choose for this assignment, how are you going to take that and apply it to your bigger object of analysis? So let's just say, for instance, that you choose to write an essay, a research project on Esmeralda Santiago and the particularities of assimilation when it comes to Latina females. Okay, and you want to write an essay on that. Okay, and your critical text, your source that you look at, looks at, for instance, I'm just grasping at straws here, looks at the female autobiography / memoir genre as its own sort of embodying principle of female identity, right? The very act of its being written is in fact an act of taking one's own agency to a higher level, okay? Your critical text, your secondary sources that you use to support your thesis would be, in a variety of different areas, from feminism to Latino culture to movement in general to, the autobiography genre. All of those critical texts could speak to that idea in some way. Okay, if you take one of those, tell me that you understand it, tell me how you're going to use it in setting up your larger argument, and then finally, just get to this point where you can see its relationship to other ideas that you're going to be building on. As I said earlier, this is a standalone sort of project. I want to understand that you have this completely sort of unpacked and ready to use as a tool going forward, but I do want to make sure that it stands alone, and by the end of your essay you come to a conclusion that your review can be used for other things, right? It's a general understanding of what it is that you mean to review in this text, okay? At the same time, like the syllabus says, you shouldn't expect to have all the answers for your large research project. It's not going to necessarily be, quote unquote, and this text will show this by the end of my larger research project. If you're at that point already, I don't think you're going to have a whole lot of research to do over the next few weeks. It's going to be sort of too narrow and too what I want to say, not wide sweeping enough. So make sure that this particular assignment looks at one avenue of your larger perspective and does a good job of doing this. 3 to 4 pages is not an awful lot, so make sure that your introduction section tells me what the text is that you're looking at. You don't have to go into an elongated description of how I went about choosing and finding, etc. But just set it up and tell me what it is that you're looking at and why, and then get into the meat of this particular review, understanding, application, and future outlook, those sort of things. This is a formal writing assignment, so keep all those conventions in mind, everything that I commented on in your current events writing projects, about what it means to write formally and to do all these sort of procedural issues. Make sure that you're writing with that particular hat on. This is not just a weekly reading response. You'll also want to bring in, appropriate quoted sections from the text that will help sort of illuminate what it is that you're going to be using from that particular text going forward. So make sure that you're adhering to MLA guidelines, etc. Okay. These will be due through Blackboard. The assignments tab is already there, so whenever you're ready to submit them, go right ahead, and I will respond as soon as possible after the fact. They'll be coming back to you from any point after you submit them. You should expect them at some point soon thereafter. Let me know if you have any questions on this assignment or on anything else going forward, and we'll see you again in the next video.